We just received multiple Eagles updates as things have taken a sickening turn, as a very prominent playmaker on offense has a risk of not playing against the Chicago Bears on Friday in a make or break for conference standings. We'll break all of this down and all of the updates we have regarding the availability of multiple players for this Eagles game on Black Friday. What's going on, guys? Alex Brooks alongside Jack Kieley to give you guys another edition of Eagles Digest as we prepare you for this big matchup against the Chicago Bears on Black Friday. So, the holiday theme when we're thinking about Thanksgiving, I think right here on Eagles Digest and a lot of Eagles fans right now, we are thinking, can we just get past Thanksgiving so we can watch this game against the Chicago Bears on Black Friday? But before we get into all of this video, if you guys are currently not subscribed to this channel. We see that 98.4% are not subscribed to this channel. You guys better hit that subscribe button. Comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on the Philadelphia Eagles and all of the updates that we are about to give you regarding this. But, getting right into this video, Jack, as we talk about the updates, this is from the injury report from yesterday. We're currently waiting on the injury report from today, but we did have some updates regarding today and everything that was surrounding the injuries. We obviously see that, DeVonta Smith did not practice, which was, a huge, eye opener for a lot of Eagles fans. We obviously know that Lane Johnson, Andrew Mukuba are, on IR at this point. Mukuba might not be back for the season. Lane Johnson is out for a couple more games. So that wasn't surprising, but just kind of looking at all of these players right now, DeVonta Smith is definitely the prominent playmaker that is not going to be probably available for this Friday's matchup, and that's a huge loss for this Eagles offense because this Eagles are still trying to get the identity, Jack, and not having DeVonta Smith out there is very, very paramount.
Yeah, I know, Alex. This Friday, not having DeVonta Smith out there is definitely going to play a factor into this game against the Chicago Bears. Now, the Bears don't exactly have the most talented defense in the NFL. By no means is it one of the best. I actually think it's quite below average, if you ask me. But to not have DeVonta Smith out there, one of Jalen Hurts, the second option in Jalen Hurts' weapons out there, well, you could argue actually he's probably the top option right now where how A.J. Brown has been playing so far. But, of course, that's up to debate between everything that we've covered this year, whether that's the play calling, whether it's A.J. Brown himself, or Jalen Hurts missing him on some open throws. But yeah, overall, not having DeVonta Smith on Friday is definitely going to be a tough task, especially with Jalen Hurts and Kevin Patullo. Hopefully the play calling is going to be a little more consistent in Friday's game. It was definitely an upgrade in the first half on Sunday against the Dallas Cowboys, but of course we know how that second half went, so I'm really hoping that there's going to be a little bit more consistency in the play calling, and hopefully Jahan Dotson can come up the depth chart here and really make some plays because, he's obviously a very talented receiver. There's a reason why the Eagles went and got him from the Washington Commanders. He had some really solid seasons in his early days with them, and, he played really well in the Super Bowl, making winning plays for us in the biggest game of our season. So, yeah, overall, DeVonta Smith is going to be a tough loss to have out there, but I think the Eagles will come out with the win.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be something with Jahan Dotson. He's going to be elevated at the wide receiver 2 position, so he's not going to be able to be in that slot position that he usually is in with DeVonta Smith and A.J. Brown on the other side. So Jahan Dotson, yes, he's going to have some more timing, but I have full trust in number 2 to really make some plays out here because you mentioned it with the Super Bowl. He was able to make some good plays. Almost had that beginning touchdown in Super Bowl 59, and then he's also made some great catches this season along with last season. So whenever his number is called, he is really up to the task. But looking a little bit at other updates regarding this Eagles defense is that they're expected to have Reed Blankenship on Friday, which is huge news for the Philadelphia Eagles because that Andrew Mukuba went down with that injury that has sidelined him for most of the season, if not all the season. So if not having Reed Blankenship out there, you would have started 2 safeties that are backups, and that was something that you don't want. You want to have consistency on your defense, especially in the safety room, which we've mentioned before on past episodes. It's very thin. So having Reed Blankenship on Friday, it's going to be huge. And then also diving into Sidney Brown, he was a 4th round pick in 2023. He's been someone who, Vic Fangio has trusted. He says that he is in full confidence that Sidney Brown will have a good game on Friday. And that's going to be huge to see because when you know that Sidney Brown, they're going to he plays with his hair on fire. But the thing is, we've seen that he's went, a little overboard on trying to tackle and not making the plays that you want him to make.
No, absolutely. It's nice to see that Vic Fangio has have some confidence there in Sidney Brown. There you can see here that he says that he's been impressed with Sidney Brown at practice, where he is going to start with Andrew McCoy being out. So I'm going to be really excited to see how Sidney Brown plays in the backfield exactly, given that he really hasn't played much defensive snaps this year. He's mostly just been on special teams. Now, last year, he played a few snaps on the defensive side, wasn't as much a special teamer now with Andrew McCoy coming in, but hopefully he can, make an impact in the start. But getting into a little more about Reed Blankenship here, he had some comments at practice the other day or today saying that that's kind of what the plan is. Obviously, said Blankenship, I felt good in the walkthrough and stuff and probably move around a little bit more, and I'm excited about that. I'm not really going to try to think about it and just go out there and play, and regardless of what happens, but I'll be fine. And that is Reed Blankenship on his availability in Friday's game against the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, I mean this is huge because you obviously know that a player who has been with the Philadelphia Eagles since 2022, since this new era of the Philadelphia Eagles with Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts, Reed Blankenship is a captain. He's helped Cooper DeJean in his development. Obviously, the exciting Whites, they've been really good in their NFL careers so far. So he's helped Cooper DeJean. He's helped just be a leader in that secondary room, and I think that's huge from just not even just a player standpoint, but a person standpoint. Being a captain in this Eagles backfield is just huge. And I think when you're just looking at the comparison between the Eagles and the Bears this season, they're both it's kind of strange because I mentioned this on the crossover episode with Dylan from Bears Digest, saying about how it's weird how the Eagles are 8-3 and we're not really happy about it. And I feel like with the Bears are 8-3 and they're psyched about it and they feel like they are going, they have Super Bowl aspirations right now, or at least, deep playoff run aspirations on their end. So I feel like it's very different when you look at this Eagles and Bears team. I definitely think the Eagles, when they're clicking and they have everything going, they are the better team. But the Bears, they're sneaky and they're looking for a definitive win against a, defending Super Bowl champion, top NFC opponent, because the 2 seed is going to be on the line here. And the Eagles, if they want to continue this train and they don't want to have this train fall off the tracks, you got to win this game against the Chicago Bears. It's a must win on Friday.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Alex. Total agreement there. I kind of look at this graph here, and I see that on the coaching side, the Philadelphia Eagles and the Bears are kind of like close there, and the Bears are kind of trailing there in that sense. But I think, honestly, you could argue that the Bears could, be on par with the Philadelphia Eagles, even a little bit ahead. I think what's dragging the Eagles so far ahead is the defensive coaching from that standpoint. But if you took it from an offensive standpoint, I do think that they would be just around the same, to be honest with you, because I think Ben Johnson has done a really good job in play calling this year and taking over from Matt Eberflus, which was a total disaster last year. And I'm really going to be interested to see how exactly he is going to scheme around Vic Fangio's defense and what kind of plays he's going to bring out for the young quarterback and former #1 overall pick.
Yeah, and that's going to be something when we're looking at both of these coaches. I think it's going to come down to coaching. We could obviously say the matchups with, Quinyon Mitchell. He's been one of the best corners in the NFL this year. He's been one of, just a staple in this backfield. I mean, when you're just kind of looking at what he's been able to do this season, I mean, like he is way ahead of everybody when looking at Quinyon Mitchell. I mean, he has been able to shut down wide receivers, and he's not going to go up against, any real top wide receiver. That's no offense to anybody on the Chicago Bears, but it's just he's not facing CeeDee Lamb or George Pickens this week. So he doesn't really have a really big test. It's just kind of just not trying to play down to your competition today. And I think that's something that, I feel like Quinyon Mitchell, he's able to, really raise his game when, the Eagles do get punched. But I think just overall, it is going to come down to coaching. Vic Fangio versus Ben Johnson. And then when you look at the offensive side of the ball, Kevin Patullo just needs to make sure that he puts out a good game plan, good 4 quarters game plan where you're going out there and you're really giving your defense an advantage and not just sticking them them out there at a 3-and-out every single time you're driving.
I know, yeah, absolutely. The offense needs, I mean, we've said it a million times here over the past few months that it just lacks total consistency right now. And that's something that we're going to need in what I think is going to be a bounce back win this Friday against Chicago. I do really think that if they do win, or I hope they win, I should say when they win, that after that game, they're going to absolutely have the motivation and tenacity that they kind of lost there in the second half against the Dallas Cowboys. But I want to take a look at one last thing before we clue up in today's video. Was a little tweet here regarding that Adoree Jackson and Keely Ringo have been one of the worst cornerbacks per PFF in the NFL so far. And, the tweet there lists that Jacorian Bennett should get a shot because it really can't get much worse, giving him a chance to play there. So obviously we hope that we see Jacorian Bennett maybe get some snaps out there at the field. We know that Jair Alexander is still away from the team right now and probably not going to get any playing time there anytime soon. But yeah, I think getting Jacorian Bennett out there on the field it's not going to hurt anybody. I mean, we've seen what Keely Ringo and Adoree Jackson have been doing so far this season, and it's been a net negative, unfortunately. Of course, I hope that Keely Ringo was going to take over that cornerback 2 spot next to Quinn Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, but of course, he really hasn't looked like he's been able to make the jump so far, and Adoree Jackson has not been the best free agency signing that the Eagles have made so far. But yeah, I think seeing Jacorian Bennett out there, I know he's been nursing an injury so far this season since we've acquired him, but overall, I don't think it would hurt to see him play out there and kind of see what he can show on the defense.
And honestly, when you look at the cornerback 2 position, I mean, that was one of Howie's rare misses this offseason. I think when you're looking at the cornerback 2 position, I think it's more important than having 2 stud wide receivers. I mean, you need it in this league now. You can't just have one great cornerback. You need 2 guys who can go up against 2 good wide receivers on the other side. I think it's more important nowadays than ever before. And that's what we had last year. Darius Slay, while he was, on the other side of 30 and he was just kind of at his end of his Eagles tenure, he was able to lock it down at that cornerback 2 position and really have Quinyon Mitchell flourish in his rookie year. And then you have Cooper DeJean in the nickel. And I think that's what the Eagles and Vic Fangio want. They want not Nakobe Dean, Cooper DeJean wanting to be in the nickel and having another guy on the outside to really help at that wide receiver 2 position, because last week they had to put Cooper DeJean on the boundary, and that's not where his natural position is. And George Pickens lit him up. And I think that's just something where Cooper DeJean, he's better in the nickel. I think that's his best overall position. But you got to have someone like Jacorian Bennett, just put him a little bit more out there, just get him some snaps, and I think that can be relatively fine on Friday against opponents that are, or against wide receivers that are not really as a threat like CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. But that's going to do it for another edition of Eagles Digest. Appreciate all the support you guys are giving us on this channel. Remember to subscribe, hit the bell so you're notified of all of our videos. We're going to have some more coverage regarding this Eagles and Bears game, and we'll have a post game on the Eagles and Bears, and hopefully we can get to 9-3. Hope you guys have a great day. Enjoy your holiday. Happy Thanksgiving, and let's get ready for this Black Friday matchup.